Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Now at 6, we're taking a live look at RDU, where Vice President Kamala Harris just landed ahead of a rally in Greenville. She's sharing her plans for the visit. Also, 4 Buncombe County school students have died after Helene decimated western North Carolina. District leaders share an update on recovery. Plus, Carolina football player Tylee Craft died today after a battle with a rare form of lung cancer. How he's being remembered. WRAL News is next. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Julian Grace. We are less than 24 days away from polls opening on Election Day right here in North Carolina. And candidates are rushing to make visits to those crucial states. Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris just landed in Raleigh right there. You see right there. Now WRAL's Carly Haynes is live at RDU with her schedule and what it looks like over the next few days. Carly.
Well, Julian, Air Force 2 just landed within the past 15 minutes. So if you see more traffic on the roads or a motorcade going through, that's the reason why. She landed here in Raleigh. She's heading to a restaurant before her campaign event. That's going to be in Greenville tomorrow. That's set to kick off her rally just before 5 p.m. And this is her 19th visit to North Carolina this election cycle. The last time she was here, she met up with Governor Roy Cooper right after Helene hit, where she promised more federal aid would be coming into the state. Now, Hurricane Helene really impacted both Trump's and Harris's campaigns, as they need to come here, they need to visit in order to clinch this swing state. It's going to be really important for them. Harris, she talked about what her plans were as she's making her visit to the Tar Heel state right as she was departing Joint Base Andrews in Maryland this afternoon.
I look forward to talking with the people of North Carolina on a number of levels. First and foremost, to see how they're doing in the wake of the hurricanes, but also to talk with folks about how they are thinking about the election and what they need. I'm going to be having some discussions with voters and folks who are on the ground there and listening to them, but also talking about my plan.
And you're watching her live right now, actually on the ground, walking out, departing Air Force 2, where she'll be heading out and heading to that restaurant ahead of that campaign event tomorrow. So this is happening right now. That plane has just landed. And early voting is set to begin next Thursday. The general election will be off in full swing in just over 3 weeks. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live at RDU.
He'll be here before you know it. Well, former President Donald Trump talked to Latino voters at a roundtable in Las Vegas and is expected to head to California tonight. His running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, made stops in Pennsylvania today. Vance will make a campaign stop in North Carolina this week. He's holding a rally in Wilmington on Wednesday evening at the Aero Center. You can register online to attend that now. Now, we have a voter guide on our website at WRAL.com. It has all the important dates that you need to know for the upcoming election, as well as information on same-day registration, how to vote by mail, and voter ID. Just search Election 2024. Heartbreak continues to come out of Asheville. The Buncombe County Schools confirms 4 students are now among those dead in the wake of Hurricane Helene. As WRAL's Eric Miller shares, officials have been unable to find or contact 21 others.
As the damage piles up around Asheville, so too do the losses.
I'm extremely brokenhearted to share that since the storm's arrival, we've also lost 4 of our students.
During an emergency meeting Friday, Buncombe County Schools Superintendent Rob Jackson didn't share the names or ages of those lost, but he did emphasize that Helene and its aftermath have hit his district very close to home.
The loss of anyone diminishes us. Our school system is diminished by this loss.
Jackson also confirmed that 21 other students are still unaccounted for.
We've had students who've left the area. We understand we've actually had students who've left the country.
All this comes as classes at Buncombe County Schools are suspended indefinitely. Only 13 of the district's 45 schools have access to water.
It is what I'm losing sleep over right now in terms of trying to figure out how to do the impossible. And again, I believe we will do it.
There is hope. Buncombe County officials confirmed Thursday that emergency repairs have reconnected the North Fork Reservoir, one of 3 key water sources in the Asheville area, to the county's water system. Some nearby communities, including parts of Black Mountain and Swannanoa, are receiving water for the first time, though we're still under a boil water advisory. Superintendent Jackson says the district is now also considering reopening schools without water, but now has to compete with other hard-hit areas for emergency resources, including portable toilets.
Those, as you know, they're at a premium, particularly with the Hurricane Milton that just went through Florida, also drawing resources.
In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
More than 3,000 soldiers and airmen are working in North Carolina. Joint Task Force North Carolina is made up of military members from 12 different states, 2 units from Fort Liberty, a unit from Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and numerous civilian groups. Soldiers with Fort Campbell's 101st Airborne Division heard about the devastation in Chimney Rock and knew that's where they needed to be to help.
I keep telling my guys, and I stand by it, you know, the Soldiers Creed. I serve the people of the United States, and it's our opportunity right now to show the people of the United States what we bring to the table and how we can help them. So we always go overseas and we help other countries, but now we can show the American citizens that we're here to help.
You'll hear more from Staff Sergeant Clark later tonight. Now, the soldiers cleared mud and debris from homes and businesses along Broad River. The FDA is working to address a shortage of several types of IV fluids made at a pharmaceutical plant in western North Carolina. Baxter International's North Cove site, located just east of Asheville, took a hit after Helene is one of the largest manufacturers of IV fluids and dialysis solutions in the country. On Friday, the FDA declared a shortage of 3 IV fluids, including a dialysis solution. The shortage has led some hospitals across the U.S. to ration their supplies and even postpone some surgeries. Now, so many of you have chipped in to help those impacted by Helene, and here are some of the numbers. WRAL Cares has raised more than $930,000 with more than 4,000 donations. You can help too. Just scan that QR code that you see right there on your screen. That is there just for you. Or go to WRAL.com and search Help to Donate. You'll also find a list of other ways you can help support North Carolinians in need. UNC football player, wide receiver, and well-known football player in the state, Tylee Craft died today after a battle with a rare form of lung cancer. He was just 23. Craft was an inspiration for his team from Sumter, South Carolina. He appeared in 7 games in 2020 and 4 in 2021. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in the spring of 2022. He attended practices into the 2023 season, even after the cancer had spread to his brain. Coming up in sports, WRAL's Luis Fernandez shares how the team honored Craft today, and we'll also hear from head coach Mack Brown. That's coming up later in the show. Fayetteville police are investigating a deadly shooting. It happened yesterday just before 5 in the afternoon on Greenleaf Drive. Police found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. Now, he was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. The man was later identified as 22-year-old Tyshawn Hines. Now, anyone with information is asked to call the Cumberland County Crime Stoppers. They want to hear from you tonight. 2 people were hurt after a crash in Fuquay-Varina today. It happened at the intersection of Wagstaff Road and Barefoot Road. Now, according to Highway Patrol, a gold Toyota drove through a stop sign and hit a car. The driver of the Toyota continued moving, clipping a truck before driving through a field and hitting a utility pole. Deputies say neither speed or alcohol were factors in this crash. Both the driver of the Toyota and his passenger were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 2 people are hurt after a shooting early this morning on University Drive in Durham. Now, police responded to the scene near the Compare Foods at about 3:45, we're told. Officers found a woman who had been shot. She was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. A man who was also shot is at the hospital with serious injuries. We're still working to learn if police have any leads toward an arrest. Police in Durham say a teenager has serious injuries after a shooting early this morning. Police say it happened around 2 on Kendall Drive. Investigators say it appears to have happened when the teenage boy may have accidentally shot himself. He was rushed to the hospital. We're still working to get an update on his condition. All right, we still have so much more to talk about. Milton is long gone, but parts of Florida are still dealing with the effects Ahead, the state's top priorities as it recovers from the storm. Anthony.
And Julian, as we take a look at temperatures across our area, we're currently sitting in the mid-70s for the majority of us. It is a warm evening. We do have a cold front on the way. We're going to talk about after this break when you may even need the winter coat coming up here in just a few minutes.
You are taking a live look at the DBAP, where we're less than an hour away from the next match in the All-American Women's Baseball Classic. That will start at 10 o'clock tonight. The league brings together some of the most talented women to compete against each other. Tomorrow is the last day of the tournament. First games start at 11 in the morning. Get on out there. Well, can you see it? We are just less than 5 days away from the start of the North Carolina State Fair. And this year's State Fair Pottery Expo will be bigger than ever. The exhibit will feature nearly 70 potters from across the state. The expo started in 2002, giving fairgoers the chance to admire the artwork and buy it for themselves if they want. Now, you can stop by the tent during the State Fair, which runs from October 17th through the 27th. Get on out there. WRAL shuttles will offer park and ride options to the fair daily from the Triangle Town Center shopping mall. The Nonstop Express will shuttle people to and from the fairgrounds every 30 minutes from 8:30 a.m. until the fair closes. Cost is $5 round trip and $4 one way. Look for the park and ride signs in the Dillard's parking lot. This is the final weekend to check out the Triangle Parade of Homes, featuring some in Orange and Chatham counties. The event showcases the newest innovations in technologies and home construction. It also includes homes in Wake and Durham counties. The self-guided tours are from noon to 5 each day. I went last year and I enjoyed it. Plan to go again this year. Well, in Cumberland County, the community honored first responders who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. It was held this morning at the newly dedicated Fire and Rescue Training Center on Fayetteville's Technical Community College's campus. There was a wreath laying ceremony, roll call, last alarm, and the playing of taps. Rescue, recovery, restoring power, and distributing gas are some of the top priorities in Florida right now. Now, this that you're seeing here, this is drone video from this morning showing long lines at the gas station in Florida's central west coast. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis announced a temporary fix to the gas shortage. Jonathan Shree explains what it is and what it will take to stop the threat that's currently facing Floridians.
Evacuations happening in Florida even after Hurricane Milton storms through. Residents stuck in flooded homes getting some help from police using jet skis and high water vehicles. They're not sure when they'll be back.
It's going to depend when the power gets turned back on, which I think is really going to be dependent upon these waters receding.
Many communities around Tampa are still completely inundated, and the flooding could get worse before it gets better.
Some homes are completely underwater. All you see is the apex of the house.
And the problems go beyond flooding and property damage. As of Saturday afternoon, 1.5 million customers were still without power. That's according to the tracking site poweroutage.us. Most gas stations, even those that have power, are out of gas, a problem the governor is working to resolve.
We have a lot of fuel that we brought into Florida to be able to help get people through. The port of Tampa's open. You're going to see the fuel flowing.
Milton is the 5th hurricane to make landfall in the U.S. in a single season. The record is 6. FEMA says it has enough money to respond to both Helene and Milton, but the strength and severity of the storms is raising new questions about whether the agency has enough funding moving forward.
What we've done in the past isn't keeping up, and we're seeing a cost of these disasters accelerating.
President Biden is scheduled to visit Florida on Sunday to get a first-hand look at the damage and recovery efforts.
The recovery efforts will continue there. Anthony, it was a bit of relief just to see some sunshine today.
Yeah, we need some sunshine, Julian. And thankfully here as we go through the next week or so, that's going to be really our dominant weather story. We do have a cold front coming through, which we're going to get to here in just a second. But I want to start off with this beautiful shot. You see that sunshine coming through there, the WRAL Gardens camera. I was watching this a second ago. There were people out there taking pictures, just enjoying. It is a beautiful evening to do that. If you're taking the dogs out, want to get some exercise in, grabbing the bike or something, it's going to be really good for that. We are at 76 currently currently in Raleigh and Durham. We hit a high of 80 today, 72 in Goldsboro, 70 there South Hill, also in Roxborough sitting at 70 degrees currently. If you like the warm temperatures, soak up today and tomorrow. We're going to talk about our next cold front on the way here in a second. But the reason it feels so nice, we talk about our dew points a lot during the summer. It's the measure of the moisture in the air. And a lot of times during the summer, it can be up close to 70, 65 or so. Our dew point is at 47. And what that means is there is virtually no moisture in the air to make it feel uncomfortable. But it's also a good indicator of where our low temperatures could get. It's kind of the bottom floor of where those temperatures could go. So theoretically, we could hit 47 tonight. I have us mainly in the low to mid 50s. So it is going to be a little bit cool for us waking up in the morning. Calm though here through the rest of this weekend. It will be a little bit breezy tomorrow. Anytime we have a front on the way, which will cross on Monday, it gets a little bit breezy before that, and temperatures actually go well above normal usually. A lot of sunshine tomorrow. We should be at 81, so very similar to today, only a couple degrees warmer. Where we sit at the moment here, you can see we're pretty calm. High pressure is in control across the area. There's that cold front though back to the west. That starts to get closer to us into Monday. So I'm going to start this off early tomorrow morning. We have a big dome of high pressure. That's going to keep our temperatures on the warm side here through the majority of our day on Sunday. The cold front gets closer on Monday, and you do see that thin strip of some moisture showing up right there. Watch what happens though as it gets closer to us. It goes away. We are not looking at much, if any, rainfall. In fact, I have zero rainfall in the forecast at this point. It's going to be what we call a dry cold front coming through. Once it does, that colder air back to the west, it's going to take a second to get here, but once it does, into mostly our mornings is where it's going to be pretty noticeable. But look what happens there. Tuesday morning, we're at 47. We go all the way down Thursday morning to the upper 30s, and yes, there could be some patchy frost across the area for that to start us off Thursday morning. Our normal low temperature is right about 52. We are going to go well below that. The first day of the fair, though, so exciting here, starts on Thursday. Picture perfect weather for that. 63 Thursday afternoon. North winds at about 5 to 10. Looking at this, I don't think we could get a better fair forecast here. And that trend really continues through the next couple days after that first day of the fair. Here's a look at the next 7. 0 rain chances at this point, so we're looking pretty good in that regard, and no tropical systems to track, which is great. 81 for us on Sunday, 75 on Monday. We go to 64 by the time we get into our Tuesday. A beautiful stretch of weather. If you can get outside, enjoy it. I highly recommend that. Still, even into next weekend, we are in the low 70s by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday.
All right, Anthony, it should be fun. Well, still ahead in sports, Carolina football honored wide receiver Tylee Kraft at their game today ahead of news about his death. Hear from head coach Mack Brown coming up in sports.
This will not be the standard sportscast you're used to at 6 p.m. on Saturdays in the fall. Shortly after UNC's 41-34 loss against Georgia Tech on Saturday, the team announced wide receiver Tylee Kraft died. The 23-year-old was diagnosed with a rare form of lung cancer in the spring of 2022. A small group of people found out about his health during the game, and then shortly after the game, head coach Mack Brown and associate head coach Lonnie Galloway were told. Brown told the players in the locker room. Now, Kraft's health had been deteriorating over the past few weeks. Brown and Galloway had posted photos on social media visiting him in the hospital. Here's what Brown said about the conversation with the players earlier this week.
We said that to the players on Thursday at practice that we felt like he was going to hospice, and they all know what that means, and that he probably had 2 days to 2 weeks. So they all ran to see him and basically hugged him and talked to him and laughed with him, and then we didn't know. We didn't know if he was going to make it this morning before the game, and you have to figure out how you're going to tell a group, and what a difficult thing to tell a group of young people about one of their best friends.
Serendipitously, today was the cancer awareness game for UNC. Players and coaches wore these shirts with Kraft's name and number on them. Wide receiver J.J. Jones traded his normal number 5 to wear Kraft's number 13 with his name on it as well. And at the end of the first quarter, Kraft's family gathered together on the field while a video honoring him was played on the video board. There were hugs, there were tears. Brown shared what it was like embracing Kraft's family in that moment.
Sally and I will leave here and go see Mom. Mom hugged me and cried hard after the first quarter, so I figured it wasn't good. It's just part of life, and we got to learn to utilize the days we have to the best of our ability, because we don't control how many that we do have. And I will say, and this young man fought so hard for his 2.5 years. The doctors told us he outlived what he should have, and he did it with a spirit, and he did it with a smile on his face, and he didn't miss a meeting. He didn't miss practice. He coached these other young people. So, I mean, he's just an incredible young person.
This game matters very little in the grand scheme of things, but to touch on it briefly, Carolina's first big play came on this Jacoby Criswell pass, 53 yards downfield to J.J. Jones. He gets up and immediately points to the number 13 on his chest. A few plays later, Criswell takes it himself, scores to tie the game at 7. Georgia Tech has UNC's number in these matchups. The Yellow Jacket offense was firing on all cylinders. Here's one of 2 Jamal Haynes touchdowns. Now, we mentioned J.J. Jones earlier, right before halftime. He finds his way into the end zone wearing the Tylee Kraft jersey. Brown announced the wide receivers will trade Kraft's jersey with someone wearing it each game for the rest of the season. Tar Heels tied things up in the fourth quarter with a field goal from Noah Burnett. But with seconds remaining in the game, Jamal Haynes runs through the heart of UNC's defense. 68 yards for the score. Georgia Tech wins 41-34. UNC has an open week, so they won't have a game, which will hopefully give people time to grieve, to mourn, and to reach out to those if they need them. Luis Fernandez, WRAL Sports, Chapel Hill.
Tylee Kraft made an impact. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.